This is Bharat FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत
This is Bharat FM.
Welcome to a special edition of Suhani Subah. Today is August 19th. I'm Mayank Chhaya. I say special for a couple of reasons. On a personal note, this is my first live radio broadcast in a nearly 40-year career as a print journalist. I've done a fair bit of broadcasting for Bharat FM, but most of it has been recorded. It's for the first time that I'm going live, so that's a special thrill for me. The other more substantive reason that I call it special is because Suhani Subah does it to mark the announcement to retire, the retirement of Mahendra Singh Dhoni, arguably India's most successful captain, a remarkably non-conformist batsman, a great wicketkeeper, and of course riding all that an ice-cool captain. Rising from what can only be called cricketing backwaters in Uttaranchal, now known as Uttarakhand, and a job as a ticket inspector with Indian Railways, Dhoni, or Mahi as he's known among his friends, has been an exceptional story and uncontestably among India's most popular cricketers of all time. It's not my intention to read the entire biography of Dhoni's this morning, although it's instructive in the interest of perspective to offer some snapshots of his career record. Dhoni has played 90 Test cricket matches, 144 innings, scored 4,867 runs. And in order to establish various levels of his expertise, I think it's important that we talk about these matters, the highest being 224 with an average of 39.09. You have to bear in mind that Dhoni's primary calling has been wicket-keeping, and he has been an exceptional success in all formats of the game, despite the fact that he's also one of the world's greatest wicket-keepers of all time. He has played 350 one-day internationals and 297 innings, where his batting flourished, notching up 10,773 runs, the highest being 183, with an average of 50.57 and a remarkable striking rate of over 87. 10 centuries, 73 half-centuries, 321 catches, and 123 stumpings. I can go on with these records, but I'm sure all of you have access to it in the days, the tech world that we live in. Both conservative and unorthodox at once, Mahendra Singh Dhoni has, since Test cricket debut on December 23rd, 2004 against Bangladesh and one-day international debut against Sri Lanka, he has been one of the most captivating figures on cricketing field anywhere. To get a more detailed perspective on the 39-year-old cricketer's retirement, we go to New Delhi in India, where the well-known investigative journalist and writer Shantanu Guha is live standing by. Among Shantanu's half a dozen books is his first, titled Mahi, the Story of India's Most Successful Captain, published in 2013 by Role Books. Welcome to Suhani Subah, Shantanu.
Thank you, Mayank. As always, pleasure to meet my guru and from the INS days, the legendary Mayank Chhaya.
My God, that's quite a introduction to me. Let me start with something very basic. Since we're talking about you and your book and your perspective on the man, I believe you first met him in 2004.
I did. I first met in 2004. I was about to join Tehelka, and Tarun wanted a cover story. And he said, you must go and spend some time in Ranchi, maybe 10, 15 days, knowing I am a very homesick Bengali, and I would not spend that many days in Ranchi. So he said, no, but you must spend some time there and try and meet all other people except him. Don't meet him. You meet him later.
I see.
But meet him there and try and see as many people around and what exactly they say, talk about this guy. So I spent about a week, 10 days, and I got two very fascinating stories. Of course, the story of Dhoni, which eventually translated into a book. And I also got a story of a very bright American guy called Franz Gassler, who was shaping up girls in Jharkhand for as footballers. And that's a great story. Franz Gassler's story one day will definitely be a book. I mean, I think India needs to give him a great award for all the work he has done. Very silent. So let's come back to Mahib, or as in Mahendra Singh Dhoni, as he's called. I met his father, mother, sister, brother-in-law, and his friends, and they all started narrating some of the bizarre stories which first got into my book, and slowly it started coming out in other books people have written about him. But my book is less on cricket, more on personal things. So I got some very fascinating stories about him. And then I started tracking him for about 6-7 years. And then I started writing the book.
I see. Was your focus on the personal aspects of Dhoni's life for a particular reason? Is it because cricket is something that you were not greatly involved with, or it was a story that you wanted to tell about Dhoni the man?
I wanted to tell the story about Dhoni the man because cricket, I think everybody follows it except me. I mean, I really don't know anything about cricket. I don't know what's a long on and a short on, what's a gully. I only know there are slips and there's a bowler and a wicket keeper.
You're committing sacrilege here this morning.
I don't know. And Mayank, I spent 5 years in ESPN.
Right.
But then I was very close to all the cricketers, traveled across the world with them, but I never followed their game. I followed them as persons. Saurav Ganguly, Ravi Shastri, Mahendra Singh Dhoni was one of them. So I kept on following them, and my idea was to know these people. In India, cricket is religion, cricket is God, cricket is everything and everything, more than religion. I mean, every cricket writer aspires to join the BCCI, the cash-rich cricket body. It's almost like journalists waiting to join UNICEF for great salaries and no taxes. So everybody wants to join BCCI. So nobody wants to antagonize people. Nobody wants to write bad things about cricket. But I personally followed those people, and I got some great anecdotal stuff, which I put in my book, and I continue to hear, and I keep jotting down in my notes, which I've got here. I can share it with you. So those are very, very fascinating stories about this man. And why I chased him was because the first cricket captain who actually made it from a small, insignificant town called Ranchi, a town known for hockey players, a town known for India's largest mental asylum. I mean, what is Ranchi? Ranchi was nothing. Even the Birsa Munda airport came much later. And then, of course, once again, Ranchi was Dhoni, Dhoni was Ranchi. Right. So I thought tracking those stories would be a great idea, and I started tracking them.
Now, sorry to jump in here. We're talking about a very, very, as I said, backwaters of India, where cricket, of course, was known, but a lot of people had no access to it. Describe the early period of Dhoni's life. Although people know a great deal because of the movie, tell us the struggles
movie guys took all the stuff from my book, but that's fine. I mean, I feel very happy because a lot of stuff, Sushant Singh Rajput's movie, a lot of them was taken from my book. The guys called me up. They say, "We want you to come to Bombay and discuss." I said, "I don't have the time. You are taking it from my book. I'm very happy about it. So do a great film. That's all. What else? I mean, I'm not running after you for money." So two stories inspired me a lot that in small town, you can actually try and do wonders. The first, around the time Dhoni was selected to play Ranji Trophy, he was supposed to travel all the way to Tripura so that he could catch a flight from Kolkata, which is about 4.5 hours from Ranchi. You have to travel through the dense forest full of elephants and all of that. They had no money to hire a car. His friends pooled in money, even in chillers, in coins. And finally, they could raise the money so that the petrol could be bought. And they hired a jeep and his brother-in-law and drove. And they drove and drove and drove, but finally they missed the flight. Dhoni could have played against Sachin Tendulkar, who was on the opposite side from Mumbai. And he was crestfallen and he was standing at the Dum airport. And the flight went out. So someone told him that, so you missed this chance. So his friends told him that you may have missed this chance today, but next time try and come early so that you don't miss a second chance. If you notice the way Indian team practices, the first guy to go to ground is Dhoni. It's not by that he's leading the way. He has always remembered that the morning shows the way. It's the term Dhirubhai Ambani used to use a lot. Yeah. The morning shows the way. Right. So Dhoni would always go early and try and be at the ground early. The other story which fascinated me was he had to get a kit, and he had a friend called Parminder Singh who had a bat store, a store for sports goods. And he kept on calling the Jalandhar-based guys, the BS guys, and he kept on telling them that we need a kid for a guy who is brilliant, who is excellent, and all of that. So one day, those bat makers got very upset, and they said, "Boss, ये क्या है? कौन है आदमी? Don Bradman का बाप है क्या? अरे रोज-रोज फोन कर रहे हो यार? Bat दे दो, ये दे दो, boat दे दो, kit दे दो."
That was Dhoni calling you, saying.
No, Dhoni's friends were calling him Parminder Singh, Sardarji.
Oh, I see.
He was calling him, and he narrated the story to me sitting and sipping tea in his small store. He said one day the managers got very upset. He said, कौन है आदमी? क्या चाहिए आपको? बोलो ना. बोलो सर एक किट चाहिए, फुल क्रिकेटर्स किट चाहिए, दे दीजिए. तो कह रहे ठीक है. तो आपको लगता है ये आदमी एक दिन बड़ा बनेगा? तो बोला जरूर बनेगा सर, सामान तो दीजिए पहले. कह रहा यार कहाँ से यार, रांची से क्रिकेटर बनेगा क्या यार, दिमाग का दही बना दिया तुम लोगों ने. कह रहे सर ये आपका दिमाग का दही जमा देगा एक दिन, आप एक किट भेज दो. So they sent the kit, and Dhoni was called to the shop, and he said, boss, take this. There is something for you lying in the corner of the shop. To get the kit, the bat makers of Punjab, they put a condition. They said, we won't get the kit to you free. Right. We don't give free to people. You'll have to pay some money. And while paying that money, Parminder had to draw out all his savings and put it in a box, and he sent it like a money order or something. Dhoni got to know this, that for him, Parminder has done this. And Paramjeet, or I think his name was Paramjeet, and Dhoni was very upset. He said, why? What did you buy for me for that you had to break your cooler and you had to take out all your money? He said, I've done it for you because I have faith in you. And small town, friendships grow much bigger than big towns.
Right.
Bonding grows much faster in small towns. And I think friendship, bondage, love, affection is more in Bharat than in India. So when the kid came in, Parminder said, tonight we will eat half a meal because we don't have the money to eat a full meal. But I'm very happy that you have got the kit. This is your moment and you must live with it and you must play well. So ironically, many years later, I asked Paramjeet or Parminder, I don't remember the fellow's name, and I told him my friend Anupama Chopra, wife of Vidhu Vinod Chopra, wants a bat of Dhoni. Can you get Dhoni's sign and send it? So he sent it and he didn't ask for money. So I sent it to Anupama Chopra then, and she was very excited because I think Vidhu Vinod Chopra's son is a cricketer and he plays in some leagues in Mumbai. So small stories, and there were countless such stories. Right. How he got into Indian Airlines, how he joined railways, and he was very unhappy with the job because his job was a ticket conductor. He had to punch tickets. And many people told him, "Arey yaar, ye ticket kaatoge, to cricket kab kheloge?" Right. Somebody then called up Praful Patel, and Praful Patel's secretary called him up and said, okay, you go and sign the contract because the other cricketer whom we had signed is a useless guy. I may not name him here. And Dhoni went in. So small turns, twists in his lives made him what Mahi is today. Right. Now Mahi is retired. Right. But it's a great, fascinating journey.
No, it is. No, I'm struck by the levels of challenges, the struggles in a small town, which a lot of people don't realize when they look at Mahendra Singh Dhoni, the phenomenon now. They see the wealth, they see the fame, they see the massive following that he has, and all the glamour that comes with being a huge cricketer in India. Tell us a bit about the mindset of a young man in a place like Ranchi who's looking up at stars to pursue cricket. What do you think goes on? Did you explore aspects of
I
that
did.
in your book? So
I did. I
let's
did.
talk
And
about it.
let me narrate some interesting and fascinating stories which you'll not find in the books. Around the time 2004 or 5, when the Indian team went to Zimbabwe, Dhoni couldn't have a haircut because the saloons were closed in Ranchi. So he started sporting a long hair, which he continued till he went to Pakistan and all of that. Now in Zimbabwe, when he went there, everybody had to take a yellow fever injection. The Indian cricket team landed up in some place in Mumbai before they left for Harare, and everybody had to take the yellow fever injection. They said Dhoni was so petrified of that needle, he screamed the loudest. And the entire building, people, doctors, nurses, matrons, they all came out. They said, what happened? There's some guy in Indian cricket team is screaming because he's taking a yellow fever injection. So that is one side of Dhoni. On the other side, in Zimbabwe, on a safari, he used to enjoy talking to his friends. So he kept on talking in the jeep when they were chased by elephants, African elephants, not Indian elephants.
Right.
So then the safari owner told him, he said, if you aspire to be a leader, you must talk less. Remember this always in your life. You want to be a leader? Talk less, work more. He said, Dhoni took it to heart. And he always had strange things to do. Let's say, keeping chocolates in his pocket, which of course has come out in a Bengali paper. And the way Sandeep Patil, the coach, used to call him Tarzan because of his long hair and all of that. Dhoni eventually turned to be a very, very private person.
What caused that transition?
I think he realized big talking cricket captains always had problems with the board. Be it Sachin Tendulkar, be it Saurav Ganguly, Mohammad Azharuddin, Ajay Jadeja, Kapil Dev, they all had problems. Dhoni is a silent player. And all this story of mind games, how Saurav Ganguly kept Guha waiting in Eden Gardens for over 5 minutes, and then he came out to do the toss so as to prove an air of finality around him. And Eden Gardens, everybody supporting Dada, so Steve Waugh would not like it. Dhoni would rather rely on the game and the match. Sometimes he, of course, talked a bit odd about his fellow cricketers, let's say, when he had a scrap with Virendra Sehwag and he said, members in my team need to be fit. And then in a press conference, Sehwag said, did you see the catch I took? If I'm not fit, how can I take that catch? So you could make out that some of his relationships were going forward, backward, forward, backward, forward, backward with some of the cricketers.
Right.
But then he maintained his calm, his composure. 2008 in South Africa, my friend Alan Wilkins was there in the ground, and I told Alan, just do a small interview with him. And Alan agreed to do an interview with Dhoni. And he said, see, cricketers save their jersey, iconic jerseys. You took off your shirt and gave it to a kid in the ground. He said, who will remember what jersey I wore? I will buy another jersey and I'll keep it in my home as the 2008 T20 World Cup winning jersey.
Right.
So don't worry about all this. But the boy who has got that jersey will know he has the original jersey.
Right.
And he will remember it lifetime.
You know, the way you're describing Dhoni so far, it stands out that he was so deeply shaped by his small-time origins, making small, fine gestures. Tell us a bit about that. And while you do that, I think a lot of people want to know the so-called ice-cool temperament that he has displayed for a long time, which was obviously a cultivated one, as you pointed out.
See, what he does and what he did, there's a hell and heaven difference. Dhoni would expect his guys to follow what he said. He relied a lot on WhatsApp. There was not WhatsApp those days, text messages. So let's say if Suresh Raina would do a great stuff, he might send him a message saying, so what juice did you had this morning? Suppose Jadeja took a great catch, he would say, okay, so next time we can call you Albatross. You know, things like that. He would always pep them up. And once he told me in a very casual conversation, I said, these pep up talks are very rare for Indian team. So how did you learn? Who taught you? Did John Wright taught you all this? Or did Greg Chappell taught you? He said, listen, I follow many things from many places. And I followed PK Banerjee, the East Bengal and India coach. And he said PK would often go into the dressing room and team. There would be a goalless draw in the first half, and he would tell East Bengal players that somewhere sitting in the ground are two people, two young boys who have just cremated their mother and come to the ground to watch you play. And you guys haven't scored. So when they go back home, what will they say? Was it worth leaving the mother's pyre in the crematorium and coming to the East Bengal grounds to play? So you think about the nation.
Right.
So it is important to think about the nation first. That he was very proud of. Everybody goes to Tirupati, somebody goes to Sabrimala. One of Dhoni's unique thing was he liked the army attire. Wearing the army attire, the jungle mufti attire, he would sit and do meditation. Buddhist chants he would do.
I see.
Which is very unusual. People don't do these things, but he would do. I mean, so much calm he was that Sunil Gavaskar once told him, listen, before I die, can you show me once, just for once, that shot that helped you win the World Cup? Dhoni smiled. He said, I don't know. Anyway, we lost in the last World Cup and I could not take a run properly and we lost it in the semifinals. So, I mean, how will I show it unless I play the next World Cup?
I see.
So I think, these are things that always comes to people's mind. And the super cool attitude, he knew as long as he's there, he's the star. And it seemed to me he had a resignation letter in his pocket ever since he came to the cricket ground. He knew that as long as I'm playing, I'm a big star. The day I step out, I won't be anybody. So he developed certain things. He invested in certain real estate properties. Probably that went wrong. But he also invested in gyms. He invested in a kind of part of super bikes, endorsed many brands. And even the timing of his retirement, 7:29.
I was coming to that. What is this?
That was auspiciously taken because the astrologist had told him you could do it in 26th January or you could do it on 15th August. He chose 15th August because that means independence.
I see.
He set himself free from the ground. He set himself free from the team. Many cricketers have done it. He's not the first one. Let's not forget. Kapil Dev retired in the night of Diwali. Sunil Gavaskar did also on an iconic day. Saurav Ganguly did in the middle of Durga Puja. So
Right.
people do these things. So Dhoni's thing, the 29 minutes was again a very, very thought out thing. That was what do you call it, the Mahendra Khan or a super auspicious time for you to walk away. And look at the song he said, the song he sang, Main pal do pal ka shayer hu.
Right.
That means I was here, I played, I'm going.
Right.
So I have no regrets.
Yeah, I sense a sense of sort of a detachment in his demeanor. Is that a right view of that? He does convey that he's in it, but he's also not in it.
I think, which no paper would write in India, ever since Saurav Ganguly went out of the Indian cricket team, the Dada supporters, which are huge in number, I mean the Royal Bengal Tigers supporters, they all felt Dhoni masterminded the exit. Otherwise, Ganguly would have been a part of the 2011 World Cup winning team. something that eluded him
Right.
and his illustrious career. And the day Sourav Ganguly became the BCCI president, now whether by hook or by crook or whether by power, push, pull, I had this feeling every cricketer remembers some names, and every cricketer, when they get back to a position of power, they recall some of their old times and old days. And I was convinced that Dhoni would have to now walk into sunset.
Okay,
It
so
was almost obvious that every cricketer commented and sort of made a very simple comment on Instagram. He did not tweet. He said, yeah, great cricketer and we will miss him and all of that.
yeah,
But you could make out in the language that the BCCI president was not hyperventilating like all of the former cricketers and former cricket captains about Dhoni's departure and what Indian cricket would miss.
Right.
Otherwise, all cricketers have written columns. Ganguly hasn't penned a column as yet.
right.
So this is squaring up.
On that note, Shantanu, as I said, this is going to be a series at some point. I was wondering if we are about 4 minutes out into this first segment. We have a next one coming up with someone else as part of our programming. So let me wrap this one with one final bit from you about what do you think someone of Dhoni's temperament would do post-retirement?
I think I have a feeling he'll become an angel investor, and he will invest in various companies and kind of money he has amassed. And he will talk very little of cricket. He will still play in CSK, maybe this year, IPL in faraway Dubai. And of course, he has the complete backing of N. Srinivasan, the head of CSK. But beyond that, I don't see a life in cricket for him.
I see. See,
He'll be remembered as a great cricketer, yes. But as I and a friend of mine have put in a petition in Supreme Court, asking the Apex Court of India to open up the envelope in which the Mudgal committee has named 13 cricketers. It'll be interesting to see whose names are there.
I see. I see.
And I'll end the note by saying this. I leave it to your viewers and your spectators that the final word on Dhoni hasn't been said yet.
Oh, that's wonderful. So speaking of final word not being said on Dhoni yet, I think we wrap this segment this morning. And we would be absolutely thrilled to have you back. We'll set it up if with time permitting and your convenience. We can do part 2 tomorrow at the same time, if that's okay with you, because I think there is so much to talk about Mahendra Singh Dhoni, who, contrary to a lot of popular impression, remains a huge icon of Indian cricket, despite his reticence, despite his ice cream temperament. So thank you so much, Shantanu. We are always as grateful to you. You found the time to talk to us, and all the best.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayank. It's always a pleasure being talking to you. Thank you once again.
We'll catch up tomorrow morning then.
Lovely. We will do that.
Thank you. Bye-bye.